Hello everyone, welcome back to the Traxion YouTube channel and welcome to week 4 of our Global Mazda MX-5 Cup track guide series here on iRacing. Now week 4 brings us to Summit Point Raceway, one of the first tracks ever to be scanned on iRacing. Yes, it needs an update, but it still offers absolutely fantastic racing in the MX-5. So if you followed my track guides before, you'll know that they are not a place for hot laps. It's a slow, methodical approach to learn the circuit, where I talk about my braking markers, my reference points, and the little quirks that each circuit has. So as usual, I will show you a flying lap in full, then we'll jump in the car, do a few laps, and show you those braking markers and reference points in action. So enough talking, let's get on track. So here we are then on the main straight here at Summit Point. So as usual, we've set the sim time to match the official series. So it's the 1st of March 2022 and the time in the sim is 1 PM. We're also using the iRacing baseline setup, which is what is used in the official series. Track temperature right now, it's 36 degrees Celsius, exactly the same as it was in the flying lap. Summit Point, one of my favourites to drive in the Mazda on iRacing. Always offers really, really good racing. So turn number 1. We're going to be in 5th gear, approaching turn number 1 over to the left-hand side. Now, there is a temptation here to turn in a little bit too early. Now, what we want to be doing, we want to be braking at the 3 cones there. Just at the 3 cones. We want to be braking in a straight line and following the line on the left-hand side, the white line. Follow the left-hand line all the way down as far as you can. And then when it ends there, just as that access road begins, you can see these broken, the broken white line in the centre of the circuit. We want to be turning in after the last broken white line. So you can see it there. That's going to be where we're turning in, not before. It's really, really easy to turn in a little bit too early. But that massively compromises your exit and your run up to turn number 3. So turn 1, so turn in after that. 1st gear, we're going to be trail braking to the apex, and as soon as we're on the apex here, we're going to be on the gas, flat out, all the way. The car will run out wide a bit, but get it back as early as you can for turn 2. A nice tight line all the way around turn number 2. Accelerating up to 3rd gear, and we're going to leave it in 3rd gear. We're not going to change to 4th, just leave it in 3rd gear. Move the car over to the right-hand side. And what I use as my braking marker here is just the end. There's the small access road on the right-hand side, just as the grass starts on the right-hand side. That's what I'm going to be using as my braking marker. And here, it's only a very, very small amount of brake, maybe 20%. Just enough to get the front of the car weighted, just to enable us to turn in for turn number 3. So a little bit of brake here. We're going to be turning quite late. This is 3rd gear. And then if we brush the curb on the left-hand side, that's fine, just not too much. It does help the car rotate a little bit. And then the exit is blind, so keep your left hand down, keep turning left. The car will run out wide. If you get a wheel on the sand here. It's not a massive problem. Just keep on going, keep pushing the run down to turn number 4, the kink. So keep your car over to the left hand side. We're going to be up to 4th gear, and then we're going to be turning in and just touching the curb on the right hand side. If you don't touch it, that's perfect. If you touch it, it's fine. But if you get this right, you can take this kink flat out. But as soon as the car is straight, we want to be hard on the brakes. And I like to approach turn number 5 in the center of the circuit. It's hard on the brakes all the way down into 1st gear. And then we're going to be turning in a really nice tight line around turn number 5, because it is cambered on the inside. If you take a little bit of curb on the left, that's fine. But nice and steady with the accelerator, then get on the gas hard. The run to turn number 6. And I don't change into 2nd gear here. The car may bounce off the rev limiter, but I think going to 2nd and then back down to 1st just unsettles the car. So keep it in 1st gear. Center of the circuit's fine. Then we're going to brake, hit the 1st apex, and as soon as we hit this apex here, we're going to be on the accelerator hard. The car will push out wide, but we really need to get the car back over to the right hand side for turn number 7. Now you can see there's the cooling tower or the grain tower straight ahead. That's your cue that we need to start modulating the throttle at this point to get the car turned turn number 7, and then the run from turn number 7, if you get it right, is flat out. So this will make more sense when we pick up the pace. What we want to aim to do is short shift to 2nd. What we want to do here, we need the car over to the right hand side here, because if you get that corner right, then it's flat out from here all the way up to turn number 10, and it's all about momentum, all about momentum. So 2nd gear, you can shift a short shift to 3rd if you wish. Nice and tight on the left hand side here, and then nice early turn in, and you want the car here because as you can see the track is cambered on the inside. Lots and lots of grip. Push here, flat out. The car will track out towards the left. Try and open up the steering as early as you possibly can. Use all of this curb on the exit just so you don't scrub off too much speed. Then the run down to turn number 10, which is quite a tricky turn. Now, what I use is my braking marker here. You can just about see on the left hand side, just where the white line is, you can see there's a change in the grass. There's like a grey colour there where it's been worn and used. That's what I use as my braking marker just before there. And we're going to turn in for turn number 10 much, much earlier than you would think, because you're going to use quite a bit of the runoff on exit. So we're going to be braking here down to 3rd gear, and we're going to turn in early. And ideally, you want to just kiss this curb on the right hand side, and that will help the car to rotate flat out. Use all of this on the exit, all of this. So that's why the early turn in is important, because you're going to use the track on the exit. Right, so we'll start to pick up the pace a little bit now. So turn number 1, we're going to be braking at the 3 cones. We're going to be in 5th gear at this point. Braking at the 3 cones and try and follow the white line on the left hand side. Looking for the end of the broken white line, there it is. And then we're going to accelerate on the apex up to 2nd, nice and tight for turn number 2. Then we're going to be up to 3rd gear, holding the right hand side. And then just after the access road on the right hand side, we're going to be braking just a little bit, and then get on the gas just before the apex and let the car run out wide. Move the car over to the left. The tricky run downhill. Now on warm tyres, this will be flat out, but as soon as the car's straight, get on the brakes. Nice and tight around here. Leave it in 1st gear. Then brake, hit the 1st apex, then get on the accelerator, let the car run out wide. Short shift to 2nd. There's the cooling tower, so we need to modulate the throttle now, because this position here is critical where your car is placed there. And as you can see, we're flat out all the way through that section because we got turn number 3 right. On the brakes, nice early turn in. Get on the accelerator before the apex. Not turn number 3, turn number 8 we got right. So, right, we'll try and speed up a bit now. Try and get a reasonable lap in. Up to 5th gear, looking for the 3 cones. There's 5, 4, 3. Hard on the brakes. all the way down to first gear. After the broken white line, then get on the gas at the apex. Move the car over to the right hand side. Up to third gear. Leave it in third gear. After the access road where the grass begins, on the brakes a tiny bit. Turn in, get on the gas before the apex if you can. The car will run out wide. You can use a little bit of sand on the right. Move the car over to the left. Now this should be flat out easily. As soon as the car's straight, we're on the brakes. Down to first gear. Nice and tight around here. Use that curb if you need to, it's fine. But leave it in first here. Brake, hit the first apex. Get on the gas, looking for that cooling tower. There it is, so we need to start modulating. Get the car positioned correctly for this turn. Then it's flat out all the way around here if you've got it right. Nice little turn in for turn number 9. Open up the steering. And the run down to turn number 10. So looking for the worn piece of grass on the left hand side. Braking down to third gear. Nice early turning. Just missed that curb a little bit there. That's fine. And that's a steady lap around Summit Point. There's a couple of pieces which are critical. That was a 22.194. Critical parts of this circuit are turn number 1. Your turning point has got to be later than you would think. And the run from turn number 6 through to 10 is critical. You're positioning through 6 and 7 to set up the turn number 8. And then you're flat out all the way up to turn number 10. Right, let's have a look at pit entry and pit exit. So pit entry here at Summit Point isn't too bad. If you need to pit in the Mazda series, it's because you've got a penalty that you haven't cleared or you've got damage and you're going to go in for your fast repair. So it's just on the approach to turn number 10. You may have seen it. It's off to the right hand side. So we're going to be flat out as usual, but then you're going to get on the brakes just when we enter pit lane for this right hand turn. Probably going to be in third gear. Then there's the cone there where you need to get your pit limiter on. So you don't have much time between going around that right turn and getting your speed down below 72 kilometers an hour. Which is quite high in the Mazda. It's not too bad. So get your pit limiter on before that point. And pit exit at Lime Rock Park is probably one of the best pit exits on iRacing. There's the green cone and there's a long run down to turn number 1. The only thing you need to be mindful of when you exit the pits is obviously people are potentially going to be too wide going down into turn number 1 if somebody's got a good run out of turn number 10. So if the cars are coming past you, coming to lap you, just bear in mind, stick right over to your right hand side until they've done what they need to do. And then when you can, just move over and try and slot in behind them. But as you can see, it's a massive long run down to turn number 1. So it's not too bad. Just keep an eye on your relative. Make sure that you're right over to the right hand side. So now we're going to talk about overtaking. And there's a couple of places here where you can get it done. Not too bad Summit Point. It's probably one of the better circuits for overtaking in the Global Mazda. So overtaking at Summit Point. There are a couple of places where you can get it done, but you've got to set them up in advance. So obviously we've got turn number 1. If you can get alongside somebody in this position going into turn number 1, then you're going to get the move done. You can't really hold the outside line going around turn number 1. But if you don't, if you're racing against somebody who defends, well, I really wouldn't try and go around the outside turn number 1. I would think about making the move into turn number 3. If you can hold an outside line here, you're not going to overtake them, but you may put yourself in a position where you can go up the inside turn number 3. So hold it here, they're going to be on the inside, defending. Well, if you're here, then you'll probably get the overtake done into turn number 3. If it's role reversal and you can't get by turn number 1 and you've managed to somehow get yourself in this position and they're defending into turn number 3, well, again, it's going to be difficult to overtake turn number 3, but from this position, I would be trying to set up an overtake going into turn number 6. So we're just approaching turn 3. I'll be thinking I'm going to try and get the move done into turn number 6. So if you can hold an outside line here, you don't necessarily have to overtake them. If you can't overtake them, if you can hold an outside line here, bear in mind though, that is really sketchy. I have been punted onto the sand on the right, so make sure that whoever you're racing against is going to race clean before you even try this. hold the outside line here. You're going to have the inside line going down the kink, which is where I would rather be, to be honest. I would much rather be here going around turn number 4 than on the outside, because if you do get punted in turn number 4, it's pretty much race over because you're straight into the tyre barrier. So if you're on the inside approaching turn number 4, bear in mind that you will have to brake now going down because your line is a lot tighter, and you might have to shift down to 3rd just so you can hold the tight line to give them a bit of room. But if you can position yourself on the inside here, then you're going to have the outside line to turn number 5, and it's much more difficult on the outside line because it's not as cambered. But if you can somehow hold on to this position and they're on the inside and stop them from cutting across you and closing the door into turn number 6, then you've got the move done, because they're not going to hold the outside line around turn number 6 and turn number 7. So that would be my advice there. Start setting the corner up, coming out of turn number 2, outside of turn number 3, and then alongside turns 4 and 5, overtake them into turn number 6. Now here, this is all about momentum, as I mentioned earlier on. And from this point, if you get it right, you're going to be flat out. But if somebody's defending, then their line is going to be compromised coming out of turn number 9. This turn here. And if you get a good run, then again, you may put yourself in a position where you can slip up the inside going into turn number 10, or at least make them defend going into turn number 10. If they're defending going into turn number 10, great, because we're not thinking of overtaking them around the outside. We're going to let them defend, and we're just going to race our normal line. They're defending, we're going to take a little bit of a later turn, and we're going to think about the exit. Their exit speed is going to be much lower than ours, and hopefully we can get a really good run, get on the inside going into turn number 1. So they're my tips for this week. Inside going into turn number 1, failing that, the inside going into turn number 3, and again failing that, if that doesn't work, try and hold the outside line around 3, inside line 4, outside line around 5, and overtake them going into turn number 6. But it's guaranteed there's going to be plenty of overtaking this week, Summit Point. So there we go. That's week 4 done here at Summit Point Raceway. Please let us know down below in the comments how you get on. What were your times before the guide? What were your times after? Did I help? Did I cover everything that you wanted to be covered in a track guide? Week 5, we go to the wonderful Alton Park. The Alton Park and the Mazda. It's a match made in heaven. As always, thanks for watching. Good luck this week. Keep it pinned.